Beloved chosen one, heaven has called a holy pause over your life. The noise around you may still roar, but inside your spirit, something sacred whispers, "Be still." This is not an interruption. This is a divine intervention. God has pressed pause on your ordinary to prepare you for extraordinary alignment. You have been sensing it, the unease, the restlessness, the feeling that something unseen is rearranging everything you thought was stable. That is not chaos. That is heaven shifting your destiny. Listen carefully, for heaven rarely shouts. The gentle pull to slow down, the sudden closing of doors you thought would stay open forever, these are not accidents. They are signals that you are being positioned for a greater unfolding. You have reached a divine intersection between what was and what will be. And in this moment, God says, wait, look, listen. Do not mistake the silence for absence. When heaven pauses, it is never for punishment, it is for preparation. The spirit realm is busy, even when your world feels still. The angels are moving assignments. Heaven's hand is redrawing your path. And you, chosen one, are standing in the sacred space between endings and beginnings. You may not see the movement, but feel it, the subtle rearranging within your spirit. This is the soundless symphony of heaven composing your breakthrough. God hides the construction of your destiny behind silence so that faith, not sight, becomes your compass. The stillness is not empty, it is pregnant with divine activity. Every delay you face now is a message written in invisible ink. I am not withholding. I am perfecting. Trust this unseen work. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you have never entered. The pause you endure is the preparation that guarantees your permanence when the door opens. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. Behold, I am doing a new thing, now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. You may feel the wilderness stretching wide before you, but this verse reveals a truth your emotions can't yet comprehend. God is already building roads in the impossible places of your life. Every dry season is being turned into a riverbed of renewal. Every wilderness moment is birthing your next chapter. You are not being delayed, you are being prepared. There is a difference. Delay frustrates the impatient, but preparation builds the warrior. The world may call this season stagnant, but heaven calls it sacred construction. God is not finished with you. He is fortifying you. You are being upgraded in silence. So, release the anxiety that keeps asking when. Trust the holy pause. The timing of God is flawless. He never rushes because he never fails. What he is aligning for you requires precision, not speed. Every relationship being removed, every opportunity being withheld, every door that refuses to open, those are not rejections. They are protections. The divine pause is not punishment. It is prophecy. It says, something greater is coming, and you must not miss it. If God gave it to you too early, you would not yet have the capacity to hold it. But once your spirit is refined in the stillness, you will step into it effortlessly. Do you feel that trembling in your spirit? That's not fear, that's transformation. You are shedding the old identity that once defined you. The labels, the roles, the masks, they are falling away. This is your holy unmaking, so that your true self, the anointed one, may rise. Chosen one, You are being asked to trust beyond your understanding. You are walking a path that few can see because you are being called to blaze one that does not yet exist. The wilderness is not your ending, it is your training ground. God hides his greatest soldiers before revealing them. This pause is heaven's classroom. Here, you learn the language of stillness, the rhythm of faith, the melody of surrender. It is here that obedience becomes your weapon and trust becomes your foundation. You are not losing momentum, you are gathering spiritual power. When you finally move again, you will not crawl, you will soar. Because when heaven shifts, it never sends you back to where you started, it launches you forward. The old version of you cannot survive the new elevation. That's why the pause feels uncomfortable. It's pulling you out of everything that no longer fits. The Holy Spirit whispers, you are entering the corridor of transformation. The pause is your protection, and the waiting is your weapon. So take heart. Heaven has not forgotten you. The potter is simply reshaping the clay. Beloved, this is your sacred invitation to rest in divine trust. Let the world run ahead. Your steps are ordered. Let others chase. You are being chosen. In this divine pause, your destiny is catching up to you. If this message stirs something deep within your spirit, if you sense that this pause is for you, then lift your heart in agreement. Like this message as an act of faith. Share it so others can awaken to their shift, and subscribe to remain within this flow of divine revelation. Comment below the prophetic number 777 as a declaration that you choose to trust the pause and step into heaven's perfect timing. You begin to feel it, don't you? Chosen one, the pull of heaven detaching you from what once felt safe, the gentle tearing, the holy disconnection. It's as if invisible hands are loosening the knots that bound you to people, patterns, and places that no longer fit the blueprint of your destiny. This is not punishment, it's pruning. God is not taking from you, He is freeing you. You have outgrown certain versions of your past. You can feel it in conversations that no longer spark life, in circles that feel smaller than your spirit, in dreams that once excited you but now feel shallow. Heaven is whispering, let go. This is the breaking of old attachments, the divine severing that makes space for new glory to bloom. You might wonder why it hurts so deeply to release what's familiar. It's because your human heart confuses comfort with connection. But God, in His mercy, knows that some connections are chains disguised as comfort. Some people you loved were never meant to walk into your next chapter. Some jobs, opportunities, or habits were seasonal, meant to grow you, not define you. When God starts to pull things away, it can feel like loss. But in the Spirit, it is restoration. Heaven never removes without replacing. When you release what no longer carries your anointing, you make room for what does. It is in this very surrender that your destiny begins to breathe again. The Apostle reminds us in his Gospel, the book of John, chapter 15, verse 2, every branch in me that does not bear fruit He takes away, and every branch that bears fruit He prunes, that it may bear more fruit. Do not resist the pruning. The shears may sting, but they do not wound, they heal. They carve away distraction so that destiny can grow unhindered. You are being sculpted, not shattered. The more you release, the lighter you become, and the easier it is for the Spirit to move through you. Sometimes, you must release even the versions of yourself that once felt holy. the strong one, the caretaker, the always available one. You have carried roles that were necessary in one season, but are too heavy for the next. God is not asking you to abandon who you are, but to shed who you no longer need to be. It takes courage to release what is still standing, but no longer living. It takes faith to walk away before something falls apart. But this is how heaven trains the chosen to obey without full understanding, to move without visible confirmation. The detachment you feel is proof that your spirit is elevating. Some connections are ending, not because of anger, but because of alignment. You are rising in frequency. Those who refuse to grow cannot follow. Let them go with grace. You do not need to prove your worth to those who no longer recognize it. The breaking is not rejection, it is divine redirection. When you hold on to what heaven is trying to remove, it creates friction. Your spirit aches because it knows release is necessary. You cannot carry both bondage and breakthrough. The weight of what was will not fit through the narrow gate of what's coming. Chosen one. This is a holy moment of surrender. The attachments are breaking because your roots are being deepened. What once felt secure must now give way to what is sure. God is grounding you not in people, not in platforms, but in His presence. The pruning makes room for His power to flow freely through your life. You will notice it soon. Peace will follow your release. The things that once consumed your energy will fade into silence. The conversations that drained you will lose their pull. The people who misunderstood you will no longer have access to your inner world. The breaking will bring clarity, and clarity will bring freedom. This is what it means to be chosen, to allow God to interrupt your comfort for the sake of your calling, to trust that even in the breaking, His hands are steady. You are not falling apart, you are falling into purpose. Release. Beloved, release the need to control how others perceive your transition. Release the guilt that whispers you are abandoning something good. You are not abandoning, you are obeying. Every release is a silent declaration of faith that says, I trust you, even when it hurts. The garden of your soul is being trimmed for new growth. The dead leaves are falling, and that is beautiful. Soon, the fragrance of fresh purpose will rise again. The same hand that prunes also plants. The same voice that says, let go, will soon say, step forward. You may not understand now, but you will look back and see that every removal made room for revelation. The attachments breaking today are the very things that would have limited your tomorrow. So breathe. Chosen one, do not mourn what is leaving, bless it and release it. What departs was never meant to carry you this far. The pruning is proof that you are bearing fruit. Heaven would not prune a tree that is dead, only one that is destined to flourish. Your detachment is not an ending, it is an elevation. You are rising, lighter, freer, clearer. You are stepping into a season where only what aligns with divine purpose can remain. The breaking of old attachments is the beginning of your expansion. Chosen one, there are weights pressing on your shoulders that heaven never asked you to carry. You have been walking with silent burdens, responsibilities, fears, expectations, and regrets that were never part of your divine assignment. You've confused endurance with obedience. But today God whispers, lay it down. Not every weight is holy. You have spent too many nights trying to fix what was never yours to mend, holding on to people who resist healing, and stretching yourself thin to be everyone's rescue. You were never meant to be the world's savior. There is only one Savior, and He already carried that cross. You are being called to rest, to release, to trust. We are reminded through the words of Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 11, verses 28 through 30. Come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. Chosen one, you have mistaken busyness for purpose, but activity without anointing is exhaustion in disguise. You can be moving and still be stuck if the motion is not led by the Spirit. There are things you do simply because you've always done them, but heaven is cutting cords of performance so that authenticity can rise. You have carried others' pain as though you were responsible for their healing. You have worn strength like armor, never showing the cracks beneath. Yet God says, I cannot heal what you hide. The moment you release what you've been clutching in fear, divine hands will catch it. You were never meant to fix every broken piece. You were called to hand them to the potter. This weight has disguised itself as duty, but it has been slowly draining your joy. The heaviness you feel when you wake, the constant sense of not enough, that's not conviction, that's captivity. God's voice convicts to free, not to chain. The Spirit is urging you now to put the weight down, not because you are weak, but because you are wise enough to recognize what no longer serves your purpose. The illusion of control is seductive. You think, if I don't hold it together, it will all fall apart. But heaven smiles gently and says, let it fall apart, so I can rebuild it correctly. Some things must collapse before true order can come. Chosen one, the weight is not only emotional, it is spiritual. You've been carrying others in prayer, standing in gaps that drained you. But even intercessors must rest. Even warriors must lay down their swords when the battle belongs to the Lord. You are not abandoning your calling. When you rest, you are honoring it. You've done enough, proving, striving, explaining. You've carried the opinions of others like anchors. Release them now. You were never created to please crowds. You were designed to follow the cloud. The approval of heaven is worth more than applause from men. There is a freedom that comes when you finally say, this isn't mine to hold. That confession opens the floodgates of grace. God never expected perfection from you, only surrender. Every time you let go, you are declaring that you trust His sovereignty over your own strength. You may feel strange without the weight. For so long, you've defined yourself by what you carried, the responsibilities, the expectations, the trauma. But you are not your burden. You are the beloved. When you set the weight down, your posture changes. You stand taller. You breathe deeper. Heaven's peace becomes your new rhythm. Chosen one, imagine your life lighter. Imagine walking unburdened into your destiny. The wings that once struggled to lift under the weight of worry will now soar with grace. You are being invited into rest, not laziness, but sacred stillness where purpose can finally breathe. Let this moment be the exchange. Whisper softly, Lord, I release what I was never meant to hold, and mean it. Feel the tension ease, the tightness lift, the tears that fall not from sorrow, but from surrender. If this message resonates with your spirit, pause and write in the comments, I am free. Let those 3 words be your declaration. A seal of faith that says you choose lightness over labor, peace over pressure. Your comment is not for the algorithm, it's a prophetic act. It is your public agreement with heaven's decree that you will no longer live burdened by what God never asked you to bear. From this day forward, you move differently. You speak with gentleness toward yourself. You no longer apologize for resting, because rest is worship. You no longer confuse guilt with responsibility. You know now that grace is not earned, it's received. And as you walk lighter, doors will open faster. What once resisted you will now recognize you, because you are walking in divine ease. The lighter you travel, the further heaven can take you. Breathe. Chosen one, the weight has lifted. What you just released will never again control you. The world may not see it, but heaven has recorded it. A warrior has chosen peace. And that choice shifts everything. Chosen one, the silence around you has not been rejection, it has been isolation for revelation. This is your separation season. And though it feels lonely, it is holy. You are being hidden, not forgotten. Heaven often conceals what it intends to reveal with power. Before the unveiling, there is always a withdrawing. You have noticed how some relationships have faded, how invitations stopped coming, how the voices that once surrounded you grew quiet. Do not mourn their departure. You asked for clarity, and God answered by separation. Some people could not hear what heaven was about to whisper to you, so God silenced the noise. Isolation has been your training ground. In the stillness, the voice of God becomes distinct again. The distractions that once blurred your focus have fallen away. This is where He teaches you to discern the difference between what is good and what is God. You learn that not every opportunity is divine, and not every connection is covenant. You may feel misunderstood, as though no one truly sees the depth of what you're walking through. But that too is part of the plan. The chosen are often misread because their preparation happens in private. The crowd sees absence. Heaven sees incubation. Seeds do not grow in the sunlight, they take root in the dark. In this separation, God is stripping away false identities. You have defined yourself by association, by performance, by the reflection others projected onto you. But now He is saying, be still and know who you are without the crowd, without the stage, without applause. You are learning that your value is not determined by visibility. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 14, My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. That is your anchor in this season. God's presence is your company, and His rest is your refuge. The separation is not a sign that you are alone. It is evidence that He desires your full attention. When He isolates, He intends to speak identity. Moses was separated before leading. David was isolated before reigning. Even Jesus withdrew to lonely places to pray. Every chosen one must pass through this chamber of solitude where divine clarity is born. You are walking the same ancient path. Do not rush to fill the silence with noise. Let it stretch. Let it echo. Silence has a language, and heaven is fluent in it. It is in these quiet spaces that God reintroduces Himself to you, not through thunder or fire, but through the soft whisper that reaches the corners of your soul. You may not yet understand why some doors closed so suddenly. Some of them carried too much distraction. Others were leading you away from destiny, disguised as comfort. God loved you enough to lock what you kept trying to reopen. You prayed for direction, and He answered with disconnection. This isolation is also protection. There are battles you cannot see, plots, jealousies, misalignments, and so heaven built a hedge around you. You call it loneliness, heaven calls it preservation. God is not withholding people, He is withholding interference. And as you dwell here, you are rediscovering simplicity. The world demanded performance, but heaven invites authenticity. The applause you thought you needed fades, and peace fills the void. You realize that true power is not in being seen, it's in being sent. Chosen one, do not fight the pull away. What feels like separation from the world is actually a connection to heaven's pulse. You are being aligned to frequencies others cannot yet perceive. This is why your spirit feels sensitive, your discernment sharper. You are tuning into heaven's signal. There is beauty in this sacred loneliness. In the absence of noise, gratitude becomes louder. Small blessings begin to glow sunlight through your window. The quiet hum of breath, the softness of peace settling into your bones. These are the whispers of a God who has drawn near. Eventually, when the separation season ends, you will not return the same. You will speak with greater authority, walk with steadier peace, love without fear, and discern without doubt. Isolation transforms into illumination. So breathe into this stillness. Learn from it. Let heaven complete its work before calling you back into the world. The hidden season will end, but its wisdom will remain. And when it's time to step out, you will know, not because someone tells you, but because the fire within will move you forward. You are being separated to be strengthened, silenced to be sharpened, hidden to be healed. Every chosen one walks this sacred road before rising. The separation season is not the loss of connection, it is the preparation for divine connection. Walk gently through it, with gratitude instead of grief. Heaven has placed you here not to break you, but to build you quietly, intentionally, beautifully. The world will see the transformation later, but right now, heaven is shaping it in secret. Chosen one, do you feel it? The trembling beneath your feet, the subtle vibration in the spirit. What you are sensing is not chaos, it is divine shaking. Heaven is touching the foundations of your life, removing everything that cannot endure the weight of your destiny. You are standing in the middle of a holy earthquake. The shaking does not come to destroy, it comes to expose. What was built on sand must fall, so that what is built on truth can stand. You prayed for stability, but heaven sent shaking, because God knows that true strength is not found in what doesn't move, but in what survives the movement. At first, you may resist. You hold tighter to what's crumbling, fearing the loss. But, beloved, understand this: when God shakes, He is not angry, He is aligning. He rattles every false foundation until only what is eternal remains. The shaking is mercy in motion. As it was written in the letter to the Hebrews, chapter 12, verses 27 and 28. The words, once more, indicate the removing of what can be shaken, that is, created things, so that what cannot be shaken may remain. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful, and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. You are being unrooted from temporary things so that your roots may sink deep into the unshakable kingdom. Relationships, habits, and desires that tremble in this shaking were never meant to carry the weight of your next season. Do not chase stability in what God is dismantling. Instead, plant your trust in the ground that never moves His presence. Think of a tree in a storm. The wind howls, branches sway, and leaves scatter. To the untrained eye, it looks like chaos. But underground, the roots grow deeper, anchoring the tree more firmly than before. That is what's happening within you. Heaven's wind is not punishment, it's preparation. You are being rooted for greater growth. And when everything shakes, notice what remains: your peace, your faith, your light. Those are the eternal parts of you that no storm can take. They are the gold that remains after the fire, the diamond formed beneath the pressure. This shaking also brings clarity. You begin to see who stands beside you because of covenant, and who stays only because of comfort. The storm always reveals loyalty. Do not grieve over those who walk away. Their exit is part of heaven's mercy. The ones meant to build with you will endure the shaking beside you. You will look back and see that the storm saved you. It stripped away illusions and exposed your foundation. It showed you that what you thought was loss was actually liberation. God is shaking off the dust of the old season, so that the radiance of your true calling can shine. Beloved, the shaking may touch your finances, your emotions, your plans, even your dreams. But remember, only the temporary will fall. The eternal will remain, stronger than before. You are not being destroyed. You are being defined. As you walk through this shaking, hold onto gratitude. Thankfulness becomes your stabilizer. Gratitude turns trembling into worship, fear into focus. When you thank God, even as the ground moves, you declare that your faith is not built on circumstance, it is built on covenant. The shaking is also awakening. It is heaven's alarm clock ringing in your spirit, saying, "It's time to rise." For too long, you've settled for less than what you were made for. The shaking shakes off complacency, breaks off delay, and awakens dormant gifts. Now, as you stand among the shifting pieces of your old life, see the beauty in it. Every collapse made room for something divine to be constructed. Every tremor reminded you that the only safe place is under His wing. And dear chosen one, if this message speaks to the trembling inside you, if you can feel that heaven is shaking things to set you free, pause for a moment. Breathe, and from your heart, let gratitude rise like incense. You can also help others find this same moment of awakening. When you you are saying, "I recognize this move of God." When you share, you become a messenger, carrying light into someone else's storm. When you subscribe, you're planting your roots deeper into this flow of revelation, staying connected to what God continues to speak. And if your spirit feels led to donate, do so not out of obligation, but out of overflow. Giving becomes a form of worship, a way to sow into the same ground that has poured truth into you. Every seed you plant helps keep this river of light flowing so that others may drink from it too. Your generosity, in any form, becomes another act of faith, saying, "I believe in what heaven is building here." Beloved, remember this: the shaking will pass, but the shift will remain. When the dust settles, you will find yourself standing firmer, shining brighter, and carrying peace that cannot be moved. You are the unshakable one, rooted in an unshakable kingdom, chosen one. Now that the shaking has settled, You stand at the edge of surrender. Heaven is whispering a gentle but unrelenting truth: release control. You have prayed. You have planned. You have pushed. Yet still, doors open and close in ways you cannot predict. This is not punishment. This is divine orchestration. You are being invited to trust the composer of time itself. You've tried to arrange every note of your destiny like a song under your command. But the rhythm of heaven refuses to follow human tempo. God is teaching you a sacred rhythm, one that requires faith instead of formulas. When you stop forcing outcomes, you begin to see that divine timing is not delay. It's precision. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are right on time for heaven's schedule. But to stay aligned, you must surrender the illusion of control. You've been gripping tightly to outcomes, people, and plans, hoping your will might shape them into perfection. Yet God whispers, "My perfection already holds them." According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 and 6, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." Beloved, think of a river. The water flows effortlessly, bending around rocks and curves without resistance. The river never worries about reaching the ocean, it simply flows. That is divine surrender, not giving up, but flowing with purpose toward promise. God is the current, and you are being carried by his timing. You have been at war with waiting. The waiting season has felt like punishment, but heaven says it is purification. Waiting teaches the soul to breathe without control. It breaks the pride that whispers, "I must make it happen." In surrender, you rediscover rest. Look back for a moment every time you forced something before its time. It crumbled. Every time you waited and trusted, the outcome was better than anything you could have planned. That is evidence that divine timing is not delay, it is defense. Heaven's not yet protects you from premature exposure. You have been like a seed buried underground, wondering if you've been forgotten. But you are not forgotten, you are germinating. The soil of waiting is where roots are born. God buries you not to hide you, but to strengthen you. There's a peace that comes when you finally say, "God, I trust you even when I don't understand." That sentence becomes the bridge between confusion and clarity. Faith does not erase mystery, it embraces it. The unknown becomes a sacred place where trust is forged like gold. When you release control, you begin to notice divine patterns. The people who enter your life suddenly align with purpose. The opportunities that once felt delayed begin to appear naturally, without striving. What once required pressure now flows with peace. That is how you know heaven is steering the ship. You are no longer exhausted by effort. Chosen one. Surrender is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the realization that God can do more with your open hands than you ever could with clenched fists. When you surrender your timeline, you invite miracles to enter on schedule. Let go of the question when. Replace it with whenever. Let go of how. Replace it with however you will. This is the language of trust, the song of surrender. You may not see the entire path, but you will always have enough light for the next step. That is divine mercy. God gives you daily bread, not full blueprints, because dependence keeps you close. You are walking with heaven now, step by step, heartbeat by heartbeat. The more you release, the lighter your spirit becomes. The anxiety fades, the striving quiets, and peace fills the spaces where fear once lived. So here you stand, at the edge of release. Heaven is inviting you to do something simple, yet profoundly powerful. Comment the number 444 below. That number is a prophetic sign of divine alignment, representing stability and angelic guidance. When you write it, you're declaring, I choose to trust the divine flow. I release control and walk in peace. This act is not symbolic only, it's spiritual agreement. As you type those numbers, heaven sees your surrender. You are aligning yourself with the current of destiny, allowing God to carry what was never yours to hold. And from this moment forward, you will notice it. Things once stuck will start to move. Conversations once delayed will begin to flow. Doors that resisted will now open easily. That's what happens when control turns into trust. Beloved, lift your eyes from your timeline and look into eternity. You are not behind, you are being guided. Every pause, every delay, every unexpected turn, it all fits the map God wrote long before you were born. The path is unfolding. The journey is holy. And the one who directs your steps has never made a wrong turn. Chosen one, you have walked through silence and surrender. And now the heat begins to rise. This is the season of purification, the refining fire where everything false is burned away and only truth remains. Do not fear the flame. What feels like loss is simply transformation. What feels like burning is only the breaking open of what's divine within you. Every chosen vessel must pass through this fire. It is not to destroy you, but to define you. The gold does not complain when the fire consumes the dross. It knows the flame is the only way purity can emerge. You, too, are gold in the making. God is turning up the heat not to harm you, but to reveal your worth. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Zechariah. Chapter 13, verse 9, I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. 2. You are that precious remnant. You are being refined, not rejected. The fire that surrounds you now is a conversation between heaven and your spirit. Every hardship, every test, every misunderstanding, it is the divine furnace where identity is clarified. God is removing impurities of fear, doubt, and pride so that you may reflect His light clearly. Do not run from this process. The fire is not your enemy. What the enemy meant for harm, the refiner uses for holiness. You are learning endurance, humility, and divine perspective. Pain becomes a teacher, pressure becomes a prophet. You are learning that holiness is not comfort, it is clarity. Sometimes the fire appears as trials, unexpected betrayals, financial strain, isolation, or loss. You wonder why God allows it. But look closer. Fire only burns what cannot belong to your next season. It cannot consume what is eternal. If it still stands after the flame, it is holy. In this furnace, masks melt. You can no longer pretend to be who you were. The false layers of performance and perfection begin to fall away. What remains is pure spirit, unfiltered, honest, and radiant. The version of you that walks out of this fire will not resemble the one who walked in. Chosen one. Fire has always been the language of transformation. It descended on the bush before Moses' call. It led Israel by night. It fell at Pentecost to mark the birth of the church. Wherever fire appears, heaven is near. So, if you feel the burn, rejoice. It means the presence of God is upon you. The pain of purification is temporary, but the strength it produces is eternal. Fire bends metal only to make it stronger. Likewise, your spirit is being tempered for greater purpose. Every tear is watering new wisdom. Every ache is teaching you discernment. You are learning to separate what looks good from what is truly God. This refining also redefines your relationships. Some will not recognize you after this season because your spirit now glows with a different light. You will notice how certain conversations no longer resonate, how some spaces feel too small. That's because you've outgrown the patterns that kept you dim. The fire has changed your frequency. And yes, the flame reveals what you tried to hide. Old wounds surface. Memories you buried rise again. But this, too, is grace. You cannot heal what you refuse to face. God brings hidden pain to light so that He can burn it away completely. The discomfort is divine surgery, not punishment. You will soon look at the fire differently. What once terrified you will now empower you. You will walk through the same flames that once threatened to consume you. But now they will illuminate your path. Because once you've been through the refining, you fear no heat, only stagnation. Beloved, the fire will end. It always does. But the glow it leaves in you will remain forever. You will emerge lighter, clearer, and filled with quiet power. The whispers of insecurity will lose their authority, and the ashes of old pain will become the soil for new beginnings. You will speak from scars instead of wounds. You will lead from wisdom instead of worry. You will shine not to be seen, but to guide. That is the fruit of purification. It replaces noise with knowing. Remember this truth: fire never consumes what belongs to God. It only removes what blocks His reflection in you. You are His vessel, His image, His light. Every flame that touches you is filtered through His permission. And nothing in His hand is ever destroyed, only transformed. So, stand still within the blaze. Let the fire finish its sacred work. Do not rush out too soon, for what remains when it ends will be your truest form. The world needs that version of you, the refined one, the radiant one, the one who has walked through fire and found faith unburned. Chosen one. The fire has quieted now. The roaring that once filled your nights has softened into stillness. You find yourself in a strange, almost unsettling calm, the silence between seasons. This is the sacred interval where heaven pauses before the next unveiling. It is not emptiness, it is incubation. At first, you may mistake this quiet for absence. You pray and hear nothing. You wait and see no sign. Yet, beneath the still surface, divine movement continues in secret. The potter does his best work in silence. He shapes without sound, building new foundations beneath the layers of your waiting heart. This stillness is not a void, it is the sound of heaven holding its breath, preparing to release your next chapter. If you listen carefully, not with your ears, but with your spirit, you will sense that this silence is full of purpose. The waiting is not wasted. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 46, verse 10. Be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. Those words echo softly across every quiet moment of your journey. They remind you that stillness is not the absence of action, but the presence of acknowledgement. To be still is to stop striving long enough to remember who holds the universe together. It is to breathe out anxiety and breathe in awe. You are learning that silence is not punishment, it is preparation. God is rewiring your senses so that you can discern His whispers instead of demanding His thunder. You have spent seasons surviving storms. Now He is teaching you the strength of serenity. In this quiet, your spirit learns to rest without results. It is here that your faith matures. Anyone can trust in noise, in signs, in confirmation after confirmation. But those who are truly chosen learn to trust when heaven is silent. Silence becomes the canvas where intimacy is drawn. You stop asking, "Where are you, God?" and begin to say, "I know you're here, even when I can't hear." This in-between time often tests the impatient heart. The world rushes ahead, chasing visible progress, while you are asked to wait. Yet understand this: the longer the roots grow underground, the taller the tree will stand above it. The depth of your stillness determines the height of your coming elevation. Sometimes God hides His answers not to torment you, but to strengthen your perception. He wants you to seek not merely His hand, but His heart. The silence trains you to find Him beyond emotion, beyond signs, beyond noise. It refines your hearing so that even the faintest whisper feels like thunder. In this quiet, He is also healing what noise once concealed. Old wounds, covered by busyness, now surface so they can finally close. Pain that you ignored begins to speak softly, and God listens through you. The silence becomes therapy for the soul, a sacred appointment where restoration occurs without words. Do not rush this part of your journey. The silence between seasons is as holy as the fire that came before it. Every story heaven writes includes a pause, a moment where breath returns, where lessons settle, where faith roots deeply. What looks like inactivity is divine efficiency at work in hidden places. This stillness also recalibrates your identity. In the noise, you defined yourself by motion and achievement. Here, you remember that being is enough. You learn that worth was never tied to output. God does not love you because of what you do. He loves you because of who you are His. Let this quiet reshape your rhythm. Wake slowly. Breathe intentionally. Listen to the small things, the hum of morning, the softness of wind, the rhythm of your heart. Each sound is a reminder that life moves even when it seems motionless. The divine pulse never ceases. Chosen one. There is a strange beauty in the unseen preparation of this season. Heaven weaves threads you cannot yet see, connections forming, opportunities aligning, timing maturing. When the silence breaks, it will not come gradually, it will come suddenly, like dawn bursting through night. Clarity will flood in, and you will understand why heaven stayed quiet so long. Until that moment, rest in the knowing that you are not forgotten in the stillness, you are favored within it. The quiet has purpose. It is shaping your spiritual muscles to carry greater revelation. It is teaching you that peace is not found in what changes, but in who remains. Do not fear the pause. Beloved, Even when heaven whispers nothing, the presence of God fills everything. The silence between seasons is sacred soil, and something glorious is already growing beneath it. Chosen one, from the silence of waiting, you now rise into revelation. The pain that once felt purposeless begins to make sense. You see it now, how every wound became a window, every disappointment a doorway, every heartbreak a holy invitation to draw nearer to the heart of God. What once broke you is becoming the very tool that builds you. This is the divine exchange, heaven's most mysterious and merciful law. The Father wastes nothing. Every tear shed in secret waters the soil of your destiny. Every loss, every betrayal, every unanswered prayer becomes raw material for something greater. You are stepping into the sacred trade, pain for purpose. At the time, it didn't feel divine. You begged for relief, and none came. You wondered if God heard you. But now, as you look back, you begin to see His fingerprints on every delay, His mercy hidden in every denial. What felt like abandonment was actually alignment. Heaven was not silent, it was strategic. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 16, verse 20, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you will weep and lament, but the world will rejoice. You will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will turn into joy." This is the verse that transforms pain into prophecy. It reminds you that sorrow is not a sentence, it is a passage. Every tear you've cried has direction. It moves you closer to divine joy. The anguish that once threatened to drown you is now birthing strength. The pain you thought would kill you is now the soil where new life grows. Chosen one, you have been walking through fire with tears in your eyes. But your tears are not signs of weakness, they are evidence of transformation. You were not meant to escape every pain, you were meant to evolve through it. Growth often arrives disguised as grief. Healing often hides inside heartbreak. You see, heaven does not measure success by comfort, but by capacity. When God enlarges your heart, He often allows it to break first. The crack makes room for compassion. The suffering you endured gave you eyes to see others with tenderness. Pain refined your empathy. It expanded your spiritual sight. Think of Joseph, betrayed by brothers, forgotten in prison, falsely accused, and yet standing one day in the palace. The same pain that seemed to bury him became the bridge that carried him into destiny. What looked like a pit was actually a passage. So it is with you. Your story is being rewritten in glory. The betrayals you faced were not to shame you, they were to shift you. The loss you suffered was not to empty you, it was to create space for divine fulfillment. God removed what was temporary to make room for what is eternal. And now, as the smoke of suffering clears, you begin to glimpse purpose. You can feel it, the quiet power of redemption stirring in your spirit. You realize you are still standing, stronger than before. The same places that broke you are now the altars where others will find healing through your words, your prayers, your light. Chosen one, heaven did not just rescue you, it refined you for the rescue of others. The pain you carried birthed a message that only you can deliver. This is why you endured what others could not. You are not simply a survivor, you are a seed of transformation. Every scar on your heart is a sentence in the story heaven is writing through you. The pages soaked in tears will become testimonies of triumph. One day, those who watched you suffer will look again and see glory shining through the cracks. Do not curse the pain that shaped you. Thank it. It was the teacher that taught you endurance, the sculptor that carved depth into your soul. You would not be who you are without it. You are entering a season where the very things that once hurt you will now help others heal. You will speak from your scars, and people will feel heaven in your words. You will lay hands on broken hearts and whisper, "I know," and that knowing will carry divine power. This is your turning point, the moment where pain turns into purpose. Mourning turns into mission. What you've walked through was never random. Heaven handpicked every trial to equip you for this moment. And now, if your spirit recognizes this truth, if you feel that your pain is about to birth something greater, then take a breath and declare it in the comments. It was worth it. Write it as a statement of faith. Those 4 words become your covenant with heaven. When you say them, you are not denying the pain, you are redeeming it. You are saying, "I understand now. It was never meant to break me, but to build me." As you type those words, something shifts in the unseen. You are aligning your voice with divine purpose. Heaven records it as agreement. And suddenly the heaviness you carried begins to lift, because now you know none of it was wasted. The tears, the waiting, the breaking, it all served your becoming. You were refined in pain to radiate in purpose, and the glory that follows will make every wound shine like a crown. Chosen one, you have reached a sacred threshold. Heaven is rewriting your destiny scroll. The old pages, the ones written with pain, confusion, and limitation, are being turned. The author of eternity holds the pen now, and he is scripting a new chapter that your past could never have predicted. You may not have noticed it, but there has been a quiet rearranging of your story. People have exited without explanation. Opportunities you once chased have faded into silence. You have wondered, "What did I do wrong?" But beloved, you did nothing wrong. You simply outgrew the page you were on. Heaven cannot write a new story on an old script. The time has come for divine editing. God is crossing out the sentences that no longer serve your destiny, removing the paragraphs that kept you trapped in cycles of fear, and replacing them with promises that speak of freedom and fullness. Every erased line is grace. Every rewritten word is restoration, as it is written in the book of Revelation. Chapter 21, verse 5. He who was seated on the throne said, "Behold, I am making all things new." Then he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true." The mighty sum. You are walking through that verse right now. God is making you new, your thoughts, your desires, your direction. The ink of heaven is fresh upon your life. This is not a sequel, it is a rebirth. Imagine your life as a grand tapestry. The dark threads once seemed chaotic, without pattern, but as you step back, you begin to see the design. Every sorrow, every delay, every detour was a deliberate thread in the masterpiece of your destiny. What looked tangled was, in truth, divine texture. Sometimes God must tear the canvas before he paints again. The ripping hurts, but it creates room for color. You are not being erased, you are being reimagined. What he is crafting next will reflect the full spectrum of who you were always meant to be. Chosen one, release the fear of what you are leaving behind. The chapters that ended were not wasted, they were preparation. Every person who walked away was a sentence that reached its period. Every closed door was an ellipsis, not an ending, just a pause before continuation. The author is still writing, and as he writes, he invites you to partner with him. When you say yes to transformation, your agreement becomes ink on the page of eternity. Your obedience is the pen stroke that fills the next line with power. Do not be afraid to dream again. You have been through seasons that dulled your hope. But hope is being rewritten too. Heaven is restoring the childlike wonder that once burned inside you, the faith that dared to believe the impossible. You are being given permission to start again. But this time with wisdom. The story ahead will not look like the one behind. Where there was striving, there will be flow. Where there was fear, there will be fullness. The God who rewrites destinies does not patch old garments, he weaves new ones. If this message is stirring something deep in your soul, take a moment to honor what heaven is doing. Sometimes an act of response becomes a seed of agreement. When you like, it is not just a click, it is a quiet yes whispered to heaven. When you share, you become a messenger, extending the ink of revelation to someone else whose pages are still blank with pain. When you subscribe, you are saying, I want to stay connected to this divine narrative that keeps unfolding. And if your heart feels moved to donate, do it as worship, not obligation. Consider it like oil poured upon the feet of a king, your gratitude turned into offering. Every contribution, no matter the size, becomes part of the ink God uses to keep this message flowing, touching those who might otherwise never hear their worth spoken aloud. You are not funding a voice, you are fueling a mission. Each seed you sow helps carry light into the darkest corners of someone else's story. Just as your destiny is being rewritten, so can theirs. Beloved, when God rewrites, he redeems. The regrets that once haunted you will soon become footnotes of grace. The losses that felt unbearable will be revealed as transitions into blessing. Even your silence, your waiting, your wandering, they all find meaning on this new page. Heaven is turning the leaf right now. You can almost hear it, the sound of destiny's page flipping. Do not look back. The ink of yesterday is dry. Look forward to the brilliance being written even now. The new chapter will not be written in sorrow, but in strength. It will not echo pain, but promise. You will read it one day and weep, not from sadness, but from awe, because you will finally understand how every line, even the hardest ones, led to this divine paragraph of purpose. Chosen one, lift your heart in quiet gratitude. You are no longer the broken story you once were. You are the rewritten one, signed by the author himself, sealed in love, and titled Redeemed. Chosen one, the pages of your destiny have turned, and a new confidence begins to rise within you, holy confidence, not born of ego, but born of encounter. You have walked through silence, through surrender, through fire and stillness, and now heaven clothes you with authority. This is the return of your divine boldness. For too long, you questioned yourself. You doubted your worth, your calling, your place. The voices of insecurity whispered that you were unqualified, that your past disqualified you from promise. But those lies are losing their grip. The season of hesitation is over. You are stepping back into your strength, not the strength you built, but the one heaven placed within you. You are beginning to realize that humility and confidence are not enemies, they are twins born of revelation. True humility acknowledges that the power is not yours. True confidence knows that the power within you comes from God. When the two walk together, authority is born. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy. Chapter 1, verse 7, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind." This truth is your foundation now. You are not timid, you are tempered. You are not reckless, you are ready. Fear once built walls around your spirit, but love has torn them down. The sound mind you are regaining is clarity. Clarity that you are not an accident, but an assignment. Chosen one. Confidence does not come from what you have survived. It comes from who carried you through. Look back and remember how many nights you thought were your end. And yet, here you are, breathing peace where there was once panic. That is not coincidence, that is covenant. Every scar on your soul has become a seal of strength. The time has come to walk in what you have learned. You no longer speak as the one seeking answers, you speak as the one who has lived them. Your trials have turned into testimonies, your prayers into prophecy. You are no longer the student of storms, you are the interpreter of them. The boldness returning to you now is not loud, it is luminous. It shines quietly from within. People will look at you and not understand what changed. But you will know it was the fire, the silence, the surrender, the shaking. Every divine disruption built this steadiness in your soul. You do not need to shout your anointing, your peace will announce it. Confidence for the chosen is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is standing in the middle of chaos and knowing that even the winds obey the one who walks beside you. You are learning to move differently now. Where once you hesitated, you now act. Where once you feared rejection, you now walk in release. Confidence does not mean the absence of fear. It means you have decided to move anyway, trusting that heaven meets you mid-step. Think of David walking toward Goliath. He carried no armor, only faith. The crowd saw a boy. Heaven saw a conqueror. His confidence was not in his sling, but in his source. That same spirit rests on you. Every challenge before you is an invitation to display divine courage. You are rediscovering the authority that was always yours. You speak, and the atmosphere listens. You pray, and things shift. You walk, and the ground beneath your feet seems to steady. This is not illusion, this is inheritance. The King's children carry his tone. The return of holy confidence also brings restoration of your voice. You once silenced yourself to keep peace, to stay small, to avoid misunderstanding. But heaven did not create you to whisper in places where truth must roar. Your words carry weight because they are now purified by love and humility. When you speak, light travels. Chosen one. You are not just regaining your confidence, you are remembering your crown. The enemy tried to bury it under fear, but heaven kept it polished for this very moment. Every battle you faced was not just survival training, it was leadership training. You were being prepared to stand tall in rooms you once felt unworthy to enter. This confidence will not make you boastful, it will make you brave. It will not make you superior, it will make you steadfast. You will walk into places where you once bowed your head and instead lift it, not in pride, but in peace, knowing who walks with you. When you carry holy confidence, even your silence speaks. You become a mirror reflecting heaven's calm in a trembling world. You become proof that trust in God turns ordinary lives into extraordinary testimonies. So breathe deeply. Beloved, let the trembling fade. Let your spine straighten, your shoulders lift, your gaze rise. Heaven has declared you ready. You no longer walk as the uncertain, you walk as the assured. This is the return of holy confidence, the quiet, unshakable knowing that you were chosen, equipped, and sent for this very moment in history. The light within you is steady now, not flickering, because it no longer depends on external approval. Go forward with the strength of one who has been refined, the gentleness of one who has been forgiven, and the authority of one who has been sent. You do not need validation. You already have verification from heaven. Chosen one, this is your moment to rise, not in noise, but in knowing. Stand in the calm power of divine confidence, and watch as even the mountains begin to move. Chosen one, the light of confidence now burns steadily within you, and heaven begins to mark you for completion. You have passed through fire, silence, and surrender. You have let go, been reshaped, and rediscovered who you are. Now comes the sacred sign of fulfillment, the prophetic number of release. This is the moment where divine cycles close and new seasons begin. You have come full circle. What once confused you now becomes clear. What once burdened you now blesses you. You are entering divine wholeness, where nothing is missing and nothing is wasted. There is a number, heaven whispers to those standing on the threshold of new beginnings, a number that carries the vibration of completion, alignment, and divine perfection. That number is 999. When you see it, it is heaven's confirmation that what once held you no longer does. The lessons are learned, the wounds are healed, and the old chapter is sealed. According to the letter written to the Philippians, chapter 1, verse 6, being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. Completion, this is the essence of your current season. You are not half-healed or halfway restored. You are being completed in glory. The same God who began your transformation is perfecting it in His timing. This is not the end, it is the elevation that follows endurance. Chosen one, think of a potter shaping clay. The spinning wheel once made you dizzy with change. The pressure of his hands felt unrelenting. The fire of the kiln seemed endless. But now, the vessel cools. The form holds. You are ready to be filled. The potter does not waste his craftsmanship. He polishes what is finished to reveal its shine. You are that vessel, whole, stable, radiant. Heaven has tested your foundation and found it unshakable. You are no longer being built. You are being unveiled. The time of construction has turned into commissioning. This is why the number 999 carries such weight. It is heaven's signature at the bottom of your refining process, declaring, "It is done. It is ready. It is time." Each 9 folds into the other like waves meeting shore, symbolizing that the cycle is complete. You have been waiting for a sign, and heaven gives you 999, a seal that what began in tears will end in testimony. Every fragment of your journey is being gathered into wholeness. You are the living proof that what breaks can also bless, that what ends can also evolve. Chosen one, you are standing in the moment when heaven and earth align. Destiny is no longer something you chase, it is something you carry. You don't need to strive, you simply need to stand in awareness that everything necessary is already within you. Completion does not mean everything is perfect. It means everything now serves purpose. Even the unanswered prayers and detours have their place in the divine mosaic. The rough edges, the scars, the pauses, all of them together form the beauty of your becoming. Heaven is smiling on you. The angels assigned to your journey are rejoicing because the cycle that once tested your strength is ending with grace. Where you once stumbled, you now stride. Where you once feared, you now flow. This is also the moment to breathe deeply, freely. The weight you carried through the previous seasons is lifting. You no longer have to fight for survival. Now you walk in sustainability. Your spirit hums in harmony with heaven's rhythm. You are aligned, anchored, and anointed. Look around at your life. Even if not everything has manifested in the physical, sense it in the spirit. The completion is already unfolding. The unseen is rearranging itself to match what heaven has already decreed. Every promise is converging into fulfillment. Beloved, there will be moments of quiet after completion, where your soul wonders, what now? That is normal. Every ending carries silence before the next beginning. Do not confuse peace with emptiness. The silence following breakthrough is heaven's applause. And now, to anchor this moment, take a breath and make a prophetic declaration in faith. Comment the number 999 below. This is not superstition, it is symbolism. When you write it, you are testifying that the old has ended and the new has begun. You are saying to heaven, I am ready for completion. I accept the fullness of my becoming. Those numbers become a covenant between you and the divine, a visible mark that you recognize your season of closure and embrace your season of creation. As you write them, imagine the ink of destiny sealing your story with divine finality. Imagine angels carrying those numbers upward as a declaration that one chapter has ended in glory. Heaven hears, and heaven responds. Chosen one. The number 999 is heaven's whisper, you have arrived. What once chased you can no longer catch you. What once hurt you can no longer touch you. The circles have closed, and new spirals of purpose are unfolding. Stand still for a moment. Feel the wind shift. Hear the soft turning of heaven's page. Completion has found you, and with it comes peace deeper than words, purpose clearer than ever, and a joy that no shadow can dim. Chosen one, you have walked through completion and now stand in divine alignment. Heaven is reconnecting you to the original blueprint written for your life before the foundations of the world. What is happening now is not random, it is remembrance. Your soul is remembering the design heaven crafted before time began. In this sacred phase, you begin to notice how everything within you starts to recalibrate. Your desires shift. Your focus sharpens. Your priorities change. The things that once drew you no longer do. And what once intimidated you now inspires you. This is not confusion, it is correction. You are being drawn back into rhythm with heaven's heartbeat. Before you were born, there was a design, an intricate pattern of purpose woven into your spirit by the hands of the Creator. Every gift, every weakness, every moment of your life was meant to echo that design. But the world, with its noise and expectations, tried to redraw your lines. It layered false colors over your true essence. Now, heaven is gently peeling those layers away. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." This scripture is not merely comfort, it is a call back to blueprint. God is saying, "I never lost the map. You may have wandered, but the design never disappeared. Every detour, every mistake, every heartbreak has been folded back into alignment with your original purpose. Chosen one. This is the season where destiny becomes deliberate. You will notice divine coincidences, people appearing at the right moment, words spoken at the perfect time, opportunities emerging without effort. These are not accidents, they are alignments. Heaven is setting the stage for your true assignment. You are remembering who you were before pain told you otherwise. The voice of doubt that once shouted is fading. The truth of who you are, brave, radiant, chosen, is being restored to your awareness. You are not becoming someone new. You are becoming who you have always been. Reconnection also requires remembrance. Heaven is reminding you of dreams you abandoned, passions you buried, visions you silenced. They are not gone, they are waiting. God placed them in your spirit as eternal seeds, immune to time. When alignment comes, those seeds begin to sprout again. Do not be surprised if old desires return with new depth. Perhaps you once loved to write, to speak, to build, to serve, but fear buried it. Now, heaven breathes life into those dormant places. What once felt impossible now feels inevitable because the timing is right. Chosen one. This season of reconnection is quiet but powerful. You will not need to chase what aligns, it will find you. You will simply be in the right place at the right time, saying the right words without effort. It will feel natural because you are walking in your original flow. When you live according to heaven's blueprint, peace becomes your compass. If something disturbs that peace, it is not part of your design. You no longer need to force or negotiate where you do not fit. The moment you choose authenticity, everything artificial falls away. This reconnection also restores divine relationships, those who carry similar frequencies, who speak the language of your soul. You will begin to meet people who mirror your growth, not your wounds. The alliances forming now are sacred. They are not built on convenience but on covenant. Heaven is gathering kindred spirits to walk beside you, and within you, a holy stillness settles. You no longer strive for validation, you simply exist in divine confidence. You know that every step you take is orchestrated, every breath divinely timed. Even silence now feels like agreement with heaven. Chosen one. You are reconnecting not just to purpose, but to presence. The God who once seemed distant now feels near again, not because he moved, but because you did. The static between you and heaven is clearing. The signal is pure. You are tuned once more to the frequency of faith. You may notice how even creation responds to your alignment, the way the wind feels softer, the colors brighter, the moments richer. That is the universe responding to restoration. When a chosen one realigns, the world around them subtly rejoices. And as you walk through each day, your steps feel lighter. You move not in rush, but in rhythm. You have learned the art of divine flow, the balance between movement and rest, between doing and being. This is what it means to live from the blueprint. You are no longer wandering. You are home in your calling. Heaven's map has unfolded before you again, not as an external route, but as an internal knowing. Every fiber of your being hums with harmony. You are exactly where you are meant to be. The reconnection with heaven's blueprint is not loud, it is luminous. It is the quiet realization that you and God are writing again, together, on the same page. And what he writes next will not repeat the pain of your past. It will reveal the purpose it prepared you for. Chosen one, as you step deeper into divine alignment, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You start to sense the call of gathering. The air around you carries a quiet pull, an invisible magnet drawing you toward others who have walked through fire, silence, and transformation, just as you have. This is the moment of convergence, the gathering of the remnant. For years, you may have felt alone in your faith, isolated in your conviction, misunderstood in your depth. You questioned if anyone else carried the same spiritual frequency, if anyone else felt this pull towards something greater, something unseen. But heaven never meant for you to walk this path alone. There are others, scattered across the earth, awakening at the same divine hour. And now, heaven is summoning them together. They are not a crowd, they are a company. A remnant of warriors clothed in humility, sharpened by trials, bonded not by blood, but by assignment. Each one carries a spark of divine purpose, and together, those sparks ignite a collective flame that will not be extinguished. It is written in the Gospel according to Matthew, chapter 18, verse 20. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. This verse is not a poetic promise, it is a spiritual law. When hearts aligned with heaven unite, the atmosphere shifts. The very space between them becomes sacred ground. And that is what is happening now. Heaven is creating divine intersections where chosen ones meet, recognize each other, and rise together. The gathering is not about numbers, it is about resonance. You will know them when you meet them. Something within your spirit will recognize theirs, a deep, wordless knowing, a sense of home. These are the ones who understand without needing to explain, who see beyond words, who carry light familiar to your own. This is how heaven builds its army, not through recruitment, but through recognition. The remnant does not compete, it completes. Each carries a unique frequency, a specific role, and when united, they form a divine symphony, many notes. One melody, chosen one. The remnant is being awakened for a reason. The world is shifting. Old systems are crumbling, and hearts are hungrier than ever for truth. In this sacred moment, God raises voices of clarity, voices like yours to speak into confusion, to remind the lost of light, to bring healing where there was division. You are not gathering for power, you are gathering for purpose. The remnant's strength lies not in status, but in unity. It is a circle, not a pyramid, a community woven together by spirit, not hierarchy. Each one carries a different flame, some to lead, some to heal, some to build, some to intercede, but all to illuminate the same truth. Love is still the greatest weapon. Do not be surprised when new people enter your life now. Seemingly by coincidence, there will be divine appointments, disguised as chance encounters, strangers whose words carry peace, mentors whose timing feels supernatural, friends who pray the same prayers you've whispered alone. Heaven orchestrates such meetings with precision, and as you meet them, something within you will strengthen. Their faith will confirm yours, their courage will reinforce your own. The loneliness that once weighed heavy will lift, replaced by belonging. You will realize that every solitary season you endured was preparation for this collective awakening. When the remnant gathers, power multiplies. One can chase 1,000, but two can put 10,000 to flight. Unity amplifies authority. When the chosen ones agree, heaven responds. Miracles accelerate. Darkness retreats. This is why connection matters. It is not social. It is spiritual. Each person heaven brings into your orbit has a purpose. Some are mirrors, reflecting back parts of yourself you could not see. Others are builders, helping construct what you could not complete alone. A few are intercessors, praying behind the scenes when your strength falters. Together, you form an unbreakable circle of light. Chosen one. This is not a call to create a following, it is a call to form a family of faith, forged in fire and bonded by love. You are part of something larger than yourself, something ancient yet new. It began long before you were born and will continue long after you have gone. Heaven's blueprint for this age includes collaboration, not isolation. The era of solitary survival is over. This is the season of collective rising, where humility meets unity, and love becomes strategy. And as you walk among the remnant, you will feel heaven's presence moving differently, thicker, closer, stronger. The Spirit flows freely among aligned hearts, weaving them into one voice, one vision, one heartbeat. The remnant is not coming, they are already here. Quietly, faithfully, they are stepping forward from the shadows, carrying words of truth, hands of healing, and hearts of fire. You are one of them. Stand among your brothers and sisters of light. Recognize the divine thread that ties you together. And know this, the gathering of the remnant is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of heaven's next great chapter through you. Chosen one. The moment has come, the unveiling of purpose, the commissioning of destiny. Heaven is calling you out from the hidden places and into the light of divine assignment. Everything you have walked through, the loss, the silence, the waiting, the refining has been training for this moment. You are being commissioned, not by human hands, but by the breath of God Himself. You may not feel ready. Most chosen ones never do. Moses stuttered, Gideon doubted, Jeremiah trembled. Yet each of them was summoned by the same voice that now calls your name. You are not chosen because you are perfect. You are chosen because you are willing. Heaven does not require polish, only obedience. It is written in the first letter of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light. This is your identity, chosen, royal, set apart. You are not ordinary. You are an ambassador of heaven walking on earthly ground. The authority resting upon you now is not borrowed, it is bestowed. Every wound you've healed, every test you've passed, has become the oil of your anointing. Chosen one. Commissioning is not about spotlight, It is about stewardship. It means carrying light into dark places, love into broken spaces, and truth into confusion. It means standing in rooms where compromise reigns and refusing to dim your flame. You are the torchbearer in a generation gasping for guidance. Picture yourself as a lighthouse on a storm-tossed coast. The winds rage, the waves crash, yet your purpose remains the same: to shine. You cannot calm the sea, but you can offer direction to those lost within it. That is your calling, not to stop the storm, but to stand unshaken within it. Now, heaven leans close and says, "Go, not go in haste, but go in purpose. Go with wisdom. Go with compassion. Go carrying the fragrance of grace." The world is not waiting for perfection, it is waiting for authenticity. The remnant you have joined is rising as an army of light, and your part in that tapestry is essential. Do not underestimate small acts of obedience. Sometimes your mission will not look like a stage, it will look like a whispered prayer, a kind word, a quiet act of generosity. Seeds planted in silence often bloom louder than sermons. If these words stir something inside you, take a moment, not out of routine, but reverence, to engage. When you like, you are saying, "I receive this commissioning." When you share, you are extending the fire, passing the torch to another soul in need of warmth. When you subscribe, you're not joining a channel, you're anchoring yourself in a continual flow of divine conversation. And if your spirit feels led to donate, do so as an act of worship, not transaction. Picture it as pouring oil upon the altar fuel that keeps the flame of this message alive so it can reach those still searching for hope in the dark. Every gift is a ripple that travels further than you can see. You are not funding words, you are fueling transformation. Beloved, your obedience in these small acts creates spiritual echoes. Each response, each gesture, becomes part of the movement heaven is orchestrating across the earth. Together, we build an invisible cathedral of faith, one brick of love at a time. You are not alone in this mission. Every person who engages, prays, supports, or listens with an open heart becomes part of the same sacred network, the divine web, connecting chosen ones across nations and generations. Your yes joins theirs, creating a chorus that heaven hears. The commissioning of the chosen is not a ceremony, it is a continual surrender. It is saying each day, "Use me again, Lord." Some mornings, your role will be to speak, other days, to simply stand. But every act of faith counts. Every step you take carries light where darkness once reigned. This calling will stretch you. It will ask for courage when fear whispers retreat. It will test your patience, your humility, your endurance. But remember, you are not sent alone. The same Spirit that called you now walks with you, strengthening your voice, guiding your steps, covering your weaknesses with grace. Chosen one, the oil on your hands glows faintly in the unseen realm. Heaven sees it, even if the world does not. You have been anointed in private so that you may impact in public. The crown of calling rests gently upon you, not heavy like burden, but firm like belonging. So, lift your head. You have nothing left to prove and everything left to pour. The mantle of destiny sits upon your shoulders, not to weigh you down, but to remind you of the glory you carry. Step forward now, not in fear, but in faith, And if this word has touched your spirit, I invite you to share your reflection in the comments. Speak from your heart what this calling means to you, how it resonates in your current season. Your words might be the spark that reignites another soul's fire. Chosen one, your commissioning is not distant, it is here. Now, heaven has written your name in the book of purpose, and the ink is still warm. You are sent, anointed, to heal, to teach, to love, to lead. Go forth with humility. Go forth with boldness, and let your light turn ordinary places into sacred ground. Chosen one, the moment of commissioning has passed, and now the air around you hums with quiet expectation. This is the beginning of manifestation, the unfolding of promises that were once only whispers in prayer. What you have long carried in faith is beginning to take form before your eyes. The unseen is stepping into visibility. You may not notice it at first. Manifestation rarely arrives with noise. It moves softly, like dawn brushing the edge of night. But if you look closely, you will see it, the small confirmations, the divine alignments, the peace that follows you like a shadow. The prayers you thought were unanswered were simply maturing. Heaven was not denying you, it was perfecting the timing. The prophet Isaiah recorded these words in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 11. So shall my word be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish what I please, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it. This is the heartbeat of your current season. What God has spoken over your life must come to pass. His words are not suggestions, they are decrees. Every promise He has whispered, every vision He has planted, carries divine inevitability. The manifestation you are stepping into is not wishful thinking, it is fulfillment. Every seed of prayer you planted, every tear that watered it, every moment you refused to give up, all of it has prepared the ground for what now blooms. Manifestation is not a sudden miracle, it is a quiet culmination. It happens when faith matures into fruit. You are standing now in the garden of answered prayers. The soil is rich from years of surrender, and the first shoots of divine promise are breaking through. At first, they appear small. A conversation that opens an unexpected door, a healing you almost missed because it came gently, not dramatically. A restoration you thought impossible begins to unfold piece by piece. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The delay has ended, the unveiling has begun. Chosen one. Manifestation does not always mean abundance of things, it means abundance of alignment. It is when your outer world begins to mirror your inner faith. When what you believe finally becomes what you see. The peace inside you starts shaping the world around you. You will notice that your prayers have changed. You no longer plead as one desperate. You speak as one who knows. You no longer ask if you declare when. Your words carry new authority because they come from a heart that has seen the faithfulness of God. This season also teaches you discernment. Not everything that appears is divine, and not every opportunity is heaven-sent. Manifestation requires maturity. You must learn to differentiate between what glitters and what glows. The enemy often imitates blessings to distract those who are stepping into destiny, but your spirit knows the difference. True manifestation brings peace, not pressure. It expands your soul, not your stress. You are learning that manifestation is not about receiving, it is about recognizing. What you prayed for may already be present, but it takes spiritual sight to perceive it. Heaven rarely drops miracles into your lap. It grows them in your landscape. You must notice the budding branches, the subtle signs, the quiet shift. Gratitude sharpens that vision. Chosen one. Think of a caterpillar within its cocoon. To an observer, it looks lifeless, but inside, transformation is happening at microscopic speed. When the time is right, the shell splits and wings unfold. That is where you are. The struggle you felt lately is the stretching before flight. The shell of limitation is cracking not because something is wrong, but because something new is ready to emerge. The manifestation of your prayers will not always announce itself with thunder. Sometimes it arrives as peace after years of chaos. Sometimes it's the unexpected reconciliation you thought would never come. Sometimes it's the strength you discover in a place where you once felt weak. These, too, are miracles. You are entering a season where divine ease replaces effort. The doors that once resisted you will now open naturally, because they recognize the authority you carry. People who once overlooked you will now seek your presence, not because you changed who you are, but because heaven has marked your life with visible favor. Do not rush this unveiling. Manifestation unfolds like sunrise, moment by moment, color by color, until the whole sky burns with light. Let patience be your posture. Let gratitude be your language. Each day, a new layer of promise will reveal itself. Chosen one. What you once held only in faith is now walking toward you in form. The invisible has taken shape. The delay has turned into delivery. You are standing at the threshold of tangible fulfillment. The very ground beneath your feet hums with answered prayer. The world may not see it yet, but heaven already celebrates it. What is written in eternity is now unfolding in time, perfectly synchronized with divine rhythm. Every no you received was protection for this yes. Every closed door was setting the stage for the one that is now opening effortlessly before you. Breathe deeply. This is the season you once longed for. The harvest is not coming, it is here. And you, chosen one, are the living evidence that what God promises, He performs. Chosen one. The cycle has completed, and now you stand in the light of fulfillment. This is the moment you once prayed for but could barely imagine. Everything you've walked through, the breaking, the waiting, the refining has led to this, the glory after the release. It is not loud. It is not rushed. It arrives softly, like the calm after the storm, wrapping itself around your soul with the warmth of recognition. You have changed. The weight you once carried has lifted. The voice of anxiety that used to echo through your mind has gone silent. You no longer wake in fear of what will come, because you finally understand whatever comes has already passed through the hands of God. Peace has replaced panic. Clarity has replaced confusion. Stillness has become your song. The psalmist once wrote in the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 6, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Those words now take on new meaning for you. They are not just verses to recite, they are your lived experience. Goodness and mercy are not chasing you, they are with you. They walk beside you as daily companions. Quiet reminders that divine favor is not seasonal, it is perpetual. You are not striving for blessing anymore, you are walking in it. This is the beauty of divine completion. It doesn't shout, it settles. It doesn't demand, it dwells. You no longer need to force doors open or fight for recognition. The things meant for you now arrive with ease because your frequency matches heaven's flow. What once felt delayed now feels deliberate. You realize that even the waiting was part of the miracle. Chosen one. Look at how far you've come. You endured when others walked away. You believed when faith felt impossible. You stayed when surrender seemed easier. And now heaven honors that endurance with peace beyond measure. You are not who you were before the shaking. Every fragment that once broke you has been reassembled into something stronger, more radiant, more divine. This is not a reward for perfection, it is the fruit of persistence. The God who called you did not ask for flawlessness, he asked for faithfulness. And your faith has brought you to this garden of glory. The season of warfare is yielding to a season of worship. The ashes have turned to beauty, the mourning to dancing, and the confusion to clarity. The light around you is different now. It is not borrowed, it emanates from within. The lessons learned in the valley now illuminate your mountaintop. You carry quiet authority because you have wrestled with darkness and emerged still shining. This glow cannot be taken. It has been earned through surrender. Chosen one. This glory is not about applause. It is about awareness. It is the realization that everything was worth it. The sleepless nights, the prayers with no answers, the tears that no one saw, all of it was currency for this peace. What you thought would destroy you only delivered you into deeper intimacy with the divine. You have become a mirror for heaven. When others look at you, they see what grace looks like in motion. They may not know your story, but they will feel your light. That is the quiet ministry of the chosen, to live in such alignment that even silence speaks of salvation. The glory after the release is not the end, it is the beginning of effortless communion. You no longer chase destiny, you walk with it. You no longer seek signs, you embody them. You no longer fear loss, you understand that nothing truly yours can ever be taken. You will find that miracles follow you now, not because you seek them, but because your presence invites them. Wherever you go, peace will settle. Your words will carry weight. Your silence will comfort. And your life will become a living altar where others encounter the presence of God. This is what release truly means, not just letting go of what hurt, but embracing what heals. You have released fear, control, and striving, and in their place, heaven has poured stillness, wisdom, and joy. And now, as you stand here at the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, remember this: the glory is not meant to make you stand taller, it's meant to make you kneel deeper. Gratitude becomes your gravity. Every breath becomes a prayer. Every moment becomes worship. You have stepped into the rhythm of divine flow, where life no longer feels like battle, but like blessing. You are walking in the garden again, side by side with the one who called you from the start. Chosen one. The storm has served its purpose. The silence has spoken. The fire has refined. And now, peace reigns. This is your glory after the release, the tranquil radiance of a soul finally aligned with heaven. The story is not over. It has only just begun. The light within you will guide others out of their own darkness. You have become the evidence that surrender leads not to loss, but to liberation. Stand in this glory. Quietly, humbly, joyfully, you are home. Beloved chosen one, you have reached the end of this divine journey. but in truth, it is only the beginning. The story heaven has written through you continues, carried in your words, your choices, your light. You are no longer the one who doubted, you are the one who knows. You have felt the fire, the silence, the shaking, and the stillness, and through it all, you discovered that you were never abandoned, only being aligned. This message found you for a reason. It was not coincidence, it was confirmation. Every word was a mirror reflecting what heaven has already been whispering to your spirit. You are chosen. You are ready. You are seen. Now, as you breathe in this final moment, take time to let gratitude rise. The same God who began this transformation in you will continue it beyond this message, beyond this day. Carry this awareness like a torch into every space you enter. Speak hope. Walk in peace. Shine without striving. If this journey has stirred something within you, if the words have found a home in your heart, consider sharing that light forward. Like this message as a sign of agreement, as if saying to heaven, I receive this truth. Share it so another soul can find their own reflection in it. Someone waiting quietly in the dark for a word like this. Subscribe so you remain connected to this flow of revelation, so that each new message continues to water the seeds already planted in you. And if your spirit feels led, leave a comment below your reflection, your gratitude, or simply a few heartfelt words. Your voice may be the spark that reignites someone else's faith. The journey continues. Chosen one, heaven watches, heaven smiles, and the light now lives through you.